Today he'd turn in his grave. That's Gertie Moltzen and Walk on the Wild Side, and that's just a little taste of what's to come in the next 3 hours. Welcome to the last James H. Reeve programme before I shove off for a couple of weeks of very well-earned rest. And it's an exceptional programme tonight. It's very, very special indeed. We've got the welcome return from God knows where of Ms. Rita Roe, our resident, or should I say occasional theatrical correspondent, who will be wafting her fragrant way in here at some time between now and 11:30, I sincerely trust. There's some exceptionally interesting current affairs tackle to talk about, the usual crop of cretinous letters, and but a special feature of tonight's programme, because I always feel that the strength of this programme has been its music, and tonight I've spared no effort to make sure that all the music on the programme is absolutely terrible. I'll just give you... You've already heard Gertie Moltzen, and you're going to get Ivor Biggin, the Heebie-Jeebies, Ted Chippington, Half Man, Half Biscuit, John Inman, Frank Sidebottom, the Bonzo Dog Band, Barry McGuigan's father, and all this sort of thing. And between 12 and 1 there's going to be an extra special feature, an all-animal segue, so stay tuned for that. And that's the sort of thing which will happen, because since I shall not be with you for the next 2 weeks or so, then I think I ought to give you a little special treat before I go away, because, let's be fair, you deserve it. That's the sort of stuff you're going to get, and here is yet another example. It's going to be like this all the way. These are a couple of people who I think deserve, well, a little special place in our hearts on the programme. Milliken and Nesbitt. Shut up. That is so much fun. Beatable. Two gentlemen, both of whom look exactly like Doug Mountjoy, who won, what was it called? Opportunity Knocks for weeks and weeks and weeks running. That's Milliken and Nesbitt, and one of their timeless numbers. Just as, so far, I mean, what do you think of it so far, eh? Brilliant, isn't it? And the music is going to stay just as bad all throughout the programme. So make a special effort to stay tuned, because in between all the scintillating gassing, there'll be that sort of thing to keep you musically entertained. And there'll be some of these as well. These are called commercial breaks. You may find it... Oh, good. And I can't remember the last time I enjoyed myself so much. Yes, I can. Listen, I'll tell you what, you're probably aware that recommendations have now been made by Sir Kenneth Newman that, well, a warning has been issued that there will be the unprecedented level of savagery in London riots last autumn could mean police retaliation with plastic bullets, CS gas and armoured vehicles such as those used in Northern Ireland, the success of which we have all seen, because they soon put a stop to that, didn't they? Oh, no, they didn't. Anyway, the warning came with the publication of the Public Order Review of the Metropolitan Police Force's action at Broadwater Farm, Tottenham and Brixton. And the recommendations are that the police be issued with extra long truncheon, 2 foot 4 inches long, I believe, CS gas, plastic bullets and armoured vehicles. Water cannon apparently have been ruled out because they're too easy a target. So that's the sort of thing that I think 18 months ago people were saying, no, it could never happen here, and now it's on its way. Meanwhile, I suppose that's a reflection of a kind on the sort of place that we're finding ourselves living in. On the other hand, however, the Conservative Party are setting up a bias monitoring unit to compile evidence for complaints on current affairs coverage to the broadcasting authorities. Now, there's a thing. The unit is being established on the instructions of Mr. Norman Tebbit, the party chairman, largely as a result of his campaign against broadcasters. Now, that is interesting, isn't it? Particularly on the day on which a broadcasting authority, the name of which I probably better hadn't mentioned, has refused to accept advertisements from Greenpeace which say something like, if you had visited Chernobyl on the day before it happened, it would have looked perfectly safe. Which, as far as I can see, is perfectly true. They refuse to accept those advertisements on the grounds that they are political and are opposed to government policy. However, it seems that the IBA, I suppose we better say it is, will continue to accept advertisements from British Nuclear Fuels Limited, which is, of course, owned by the government, saying that if you visit Sellafield, then you will be able to look round it and see that it is perfectly safe. Brackets, just as safe as Chernobyl. So, what's happening here? We're not faced with a double standard, are we? Lordy, lordy, I can hardly believe it. I've never come across such a thing in my life before. You may feel that perhaps there is something you wish to say about one of these topics, or perhaps another topic which has seized your imagination, such as it is, during the day. Or there may still be something else hanging around from the last 2 days in the back of your mind, that probably a cobweb that you would like to bring to my attention. If so, then you are welcome to do so. And all you have to do is ring 061 228 6262, and we shall discuss the matter fully, freely and frankly for as long as it takes, or for as long as I feel is necessary, because, of course, the ultimate decision rests with me, and I think that's just the way it ought to be, don't you? Jolly good, excellent. 061 228 6262 is the number, and we shall continue with the high calibre of music. This will bring back a few memories, I'm sure. It's not the one you're thinking of. This is a sort of a hidden classic. This is the Birdie Song by Foster and Allen. Yeah, oh, fabulous, fabulous. Foster and Allen, and a sort of Irish, Spanish version of the Birdie Dance. Fabulous gear, isn't it, hey? I can't believe it. I mean, I know normally I can pull them out of that library like nobody's business, but tonight I think I've done brilliantly. So stay tuned, because it's going to get even worse. I think, oh, we've got a bit of Slim Dusty as well coming up. Remember his big hits, one in 1957 and another in 1981, you see? So he's very rarely out of the charts. Paul Williamson in Prestwich is having a lurk in the background somewhere, and he'll be with us directly after this. I've just had an instruction which I don't understand at all, but we're going to try it. What on earth was all that about? I haven't the faintest idea. Anyway, oh, it seems Sean Connery's trying to get on the programme. Well, you can push off, mate, because you're a nobody. Instead, we're going to have Paul Williamson in Prestwich.
Oh, Jim?
A real man, yes?
It's me.
I know it's you.
Right. I've got some theory about what...
It's me. What does it's me mean? Whoever says it's me is obviously speaking the truth. If you said it's him, or it's her, or it's Don Alfonso's other pair of tweezers, then it wouldn't make sense.
Well, it's still me. Right, I've got some theories about what came first, the chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
Because it must be the chicken. Because if you go back far enough, you'll find that there was some water, and it was made stagnant by the sun, and bacteria grew from this to make the chicken. Well?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know a creature evolved from this, and so a chicken probably evolved from this creature.
I see. Well, thank you, Dr. Richard Leakey.
I'm finished yet.
Oh.
Do you know how to get a hard-boiled egg into a milk bottle?
Yes.
Without touching the egg?
Yes.
How then?
Oh, it's all to do with a candle and vinegar and things like that.
No.
Oh, isn't it?
No.
Oh, go on then.
Right. You put a piece of paper in the bottle and light the paper.
Mm.
Then if you put the egg on top of the neck of the bottle...
Oh, the candle would do, wouldn't it, dummy?
Yeah, but you don't use vinegar.
You do. You soak the egg in vinegar first, anyway.
You don't?
Well, you can do if you want. You can do what you can paint a picture of Father Christmas on it if you want.
Oh, right.
Right, OK. Thank you very much
Just a
indeed.
minute.
Oh, what?
This has just made me tougher than Jim Reeve.
Oh, is it really?
Reeve, please.
Yeah.
And I'd just like to say...
Right. Roy oh, no! How do you get an acorn in a milk bottle?
Hello?
Hello.
Right, hello. The thing is, you see, it's Albert Acorn's birthday today.
Is it?
Yeah, we're going to sing happy birthday to him.
Oh, yeah. Good. Meanwhile... What?
Do you mind?
No, please yourself. Anyway, what do you want to talk about?
Right, you cut me off yesterday. I
Yeah.
want to talk about drinking and driving.
Oh, yes, right.
But you cut me off.
Yeah.
Right, hang on. Happy birthday to Albert.
No, I'm sorry, we haven't got time for that. Oh, right. That was Roy Acorn making his final appearance on the programme before I go on holiday, and I suspect his final appearance on the programme ever, if I've got anything to do with it. Okie doke, good. Shall we have some more music? Yes, I think we shall. We'll have Half Man, Half Biscuit, because I got a lot of requests for them, actually, and they've been a bit quiet since they did Trumpton Riots. So we'll have a golden oldie from them, if one can term it such, and I'm sure that you'll recognise perfectly what this is. After that, another break, and then I scan the piazza anxiously for Miss Rita Roe, and if she shows up, then we'll have her. But if she doesn't, then obviously we can't. Can't play that one. 99% of gargoyles from Half Man, Half Biscuit, who, as I say, well, it's probably because they've probably gone on holiday with Tranmere Rovers to watch them doing the pre-season training, and I expect we can look forward to a new record from them in the very near future. A break now, and then some more, yeah. Going to do some letters in a moment, but first I suppose we'd better get this out of the way. Mike Dean.
Yes. Well, first, I've got something awful to tell you. It's terrible.
Generally...
Ruined all my life. I'll get some
from get lost over first, I'd just like to say get lost to Jason, his bird, and I'll say get lost to my neighbours. Yes, get lost to the neighbours.
Yeah.
Right, well, it's Virgin on a sod after the neighbours, but anyway. Something clicked as you put the phone down on me the other day, and it weren't the phone. I went to bed and I had this really, really weird dream. I was hanging off this skyscraper, and you came along with this hacksaw, yes, the hacksaw, and you started going over this, you know, I was only on this little rope, and I'm shouting, don't cut me off, no, wait, hang on, don't cut me off, and just as you cut me off, I woke up, because there was this fly in the room. Yes, this fly, that's what I want to talk about, this fly. Are you still there?
Barely.
Right, no, listen, now this is really important, right? You're not going to believe this. I've been committed for 3 weeks. Just for 3 weeks, mind.
Yeah.
Tests. Just tests.
Just for tests,
Just
yes.
They said it won't hurt. Just a few injections now and again.
Yeah.
Some tests. I haven't got to see my family in another week. Anyway, I'll
good.
tell you why.
They wanted it to be 3 weeks, I expect.
No, they're very weird about me. They always have been. Right, no, listen, right, this fly, it's been bugging me. It's been in my room for the past, I don't know, 4 weeks. It's immune to all fly sprays. Any fly sprays you can try.
And Michael, open the window.
Yes, you might say that. I've tried that. I opened the window the first time I saw it with my fist. I slit my knuckles, and I cracked 2 of my windows trying to get it out, right? And then one night, because it keeps waking me up while I'm asleep, and you know how annoyed I get, don't you? One night, I fell asleep, and it keeps waking me up, right? And I woke up in the morning, I was bloodshot, all my eyes were bloodshot, I was really tired, and I looked across at it, and I know what it's thinking. It's thinking, if he moves towards me, I'm going to fly off. Backwards.
Yeah.
Right, anyway, so I get this...
They do, don't they? Apparently flies take off backwards.
They do. I'm telling you, they do. This is a marvel, this. So I got this orange peel, right? And I goes over to it, and I squeezes this orange peel, and these little jets of citric acid came flying out of this orange peel, and hit it, and it crawled over,
Yeah.
and it died.
I'm very sorry about that. This is Dr. Reginald Davis here.
Oh, here we go. Get off. That's Michael Dean. I think we ought to get... Look, OK, we'll strike a bargain. Tonight, I know, there's a certain end-of-term atmosphere. I'm prepared to accept that, because I'm not here next week or the week after. But when I come back, all this claptrap is going to stop. I'm going to make sure it does. And I'm going to, if it necessitates me personally seeing to Mike Dean, then I am quite prepared to do so. Let us see if Hazel Thompson in Stockport is any better. Hello?
Hello, Jim.
Oh, yes?
Right. What do you think about Boy George and his drug problem? That he says he's fine, and he says he's fit enough to run a marathon, but his brother and father say that he's dying of heroin addict.
Well, they cannot all be right, can they?
No.
No.
Because in the papers they're all saying that, in the news and that, they said that his brother said he's dying, got only 8 weeks to live, and some people say it's 2 weeks to live, and then he says that he's leaving the country and he don't know when he'll be back. He's fit enough to run a marathon.
Yes, I know, you've just said that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. What do you think, Hazel?
I think it's stupid, really.
Yes,
You
I
don't
do.
know what to believe, really, do you?
No, you don't know, really.
Because his brothers could be right, but he should know.
So he
You
could...
should think he'd be right, wouldn't
or they could be right, or then again, they could be wrong.
No.
Life's like that, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
OK. Anyway, I'm glad I've been able
I think
to
that Mike Smith, what's his name? Mike Smith from... Is it that's just been on?
Mike Dean.
What, sorry, Mike Dean.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it's dead boring.
Yes.
Just shuts up.
Yeah.
Right, let's say hello to Leander.
Right, OK. Brian Whelan in Offerton.
Hello, Jimmy Kins.
Oh. Yes, what?
Before I get onto my first topic,
Yeah.
I want you to apologise to your public.
Well, there's no danger of that whatsoever.
You know, about Czechoslovakia, you mean, you dropped a clanger there, didn't you, Jimmy?
I forgot the other one.
You forgot? You got the keys.
I thought, I didn't think he'd said Czechoslovakia.
Oh, come on,
Yeah.
mate.
Yeah.
Who do you think you said then?
I thought he said, Portugal. Yeah.
Oh, very alike sounding them, aren't they?
Yeah.
Anyway,
What was it you wanted?
right, it's about women's rights, you see.
Yeah.
Now, I work in Moston as an apprentice, you see.
Yeah.
And, well, they employ a few, you know, token girls, you know, just to keep appearances up, you see.
In what capacity?
As apprentices.
As apprentice what's?
Electricians and stuff like that, you know.
Oh, OK, right.
So, you know, they they get sort of privileges, you see, because they use this thing, guys, you know, show what diligent, hard-working young people we are, you see. So, well, we're a slave in a way, you see, because they're women, they get to show all the important people around, you see. And I think, you know, they're always moaning about, you know, how terribly treated they get. And, you know, they're getting well treated just because they've got a pair of tits, basically, innit?
Yes, I suppose there's something in what you say, Brian.
Yes, there is, isn't there?
Would you like to apologise for saying that?
What?
That rather unfortunate expression that you used just a few seconds ago.
Oh, I'm sorry, all you lovely ladies out there.
There we are. Good. So, that's very, yes, very informative. I should address the next Labour Party conference if I were you, Brian.
Yes, well,
okay.
I'm a committed communist like you.
Yes, well, you may...
Oh, sorry, socialist.
You may be a communist, but you certainly should be committed. OK.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye now. Tom Donoghue in Manchester.
Hello there.
Yes.
Hello, Jim.
Hello.
I want to talk about the licensing. You know, the TV licence.
Ah, the recommendations made today.
Oh, you don't call them recommendations, do you? Pure fantasy.
Well, they've been shelved.
Well, the thing is, right, we've got a TV shop in Manchester. Plus, I've worked for large rental companies.
Yeah.
And the thing is that most people can't afford the licence. And a lot of people...
What do you mean most people can't afford the licence?
Well, we're talking about old-age pensioners,
Ah.
the unemployed.
Yeah.
Are you saying that the majority of the country are wealthy enough to afford the licence?
Clearly.
You say they are?
Well, yes, obviously they are. It's £1 a week.
Yeah.
So if you can't set aside £1 a week, then you are. If you're either too skint to do so, then you're in terrible trouble. If you're too mean to do so, then you're a right git.
It's not a question of that, surely.
Certainly
we've laid down in the 20s that someone's principle, the fact that they didn't want British television to turn like American television. And commercial television in this country has not turned out like American television.
It's getting that way, though.
I wouldn't say that, no.
We've got
It's
everything...
well restricted.
Oh, don't talk... I mean, I wouldn't like to know what percentage of British TV programmes are actually purchased direct from America or based on American ideas.
That doesn't make a difference. Most companies, commercial companies, are self-financing. The BBC is not.
No.
Right? If other companies can be self-financing, any company should be financed rather than subsidised.
Well, that is not the point. You see, the whole point in the BBC's original charter was that it should be funded neither by private enterprise nor by the government, because in that way it could be certain to retain its independence, because people could not put political pressure on it. This is the theory, anyway. I mean, you may disagree with the way it's turned out. And nor could commercial interests put pressure on it for their own ends. That is the theory.
I see. So, when these record companies advertise their products on Radio 1, Radio 2, and so forth...
They don't.
They don't?
No.
It's strange that you can listen to a jazz programme, be told the label it's on, and even if it's a restricted record and imports this country, you can be told where the importer is.
Yeah, well, I suppose this is an area in which it comes under the heading of...
Most record companies recognise the fact that they should produce a product which is playable on the BBC. Right? But the thing that gets me, being in touch with the public, is the number of people that I see in difficulties because of the licence. A typical example is if an old-age pensioner's got a black and white TV in, you go and put a loan set in, you give them a colour loan set, they're actually afraid of opening the door until you return the black and white for repair, in case it's a TV man. Well, you have to give them a written piece of paper saying it's only a temporary set. I see people in different every single day like that.
Well, are they officially breaking the law, Thomas?
Yes, you are breaking the law.
Because they're operating a colour set with a monochrome licence, aren't they?
That's correct.
Therefore, if you're breaking the law, then I'm afraid one must pay the penalty. This is the way the legal system operates.
Yeah, but as far as I'm concerned, I mean, it should be abolished because you're paying for somebody else's principle, and it's not a system where you can pay voluntarily. You have to pay by law. If you don't, there's penalties to pay for that. Right. So the freedom of choice, you can't even have a receiver. Say, for example, you have a television and no aerial, and it's in an area where it's impossible for you to pick a picture up from a transmitted broadcast, and use the machine for video use only, you are still breaking the law.
Now, are you? Because there was a test case about this, wasn't there? And what was the outcome? The bloke was still fined, was he?
That's it. It was
proved. Well. So, well, I'll tell you what to do. Why don't you take some action about this? Why don't you get a bit of publicity about it?
I was a member of the ETPU. We tried through the ETPU to do something, but nobody's interested. All people are interested in are restricting the licence to a fee, in other words, a nominal figure, but they won't go so far as committing themselves to abolishing it. You see, let's say, for example, they said that they're going to put these plastic cards, right?
Yeah.
250 quid television, a £25 card.
Yeah.
Now, I sell 3,000 colour TVs a year that costs less than £250.
Yeah.
We also install sets that will put the average cost of renting the sets up, you know what I mean? It'd be too expensive. If you've got 2,000 or 3,000 sets out, and somebody says, right, 25 quid a time, you've got to install.
All right, look, before we get involved in the accounting of your business, why don't you tell us what you envisage as the ideal situation?
The ideal situation is to abolish the licensing fee, and for the BBC to go commercial, or to make enough products to sell the products like any business in this country has to survive.
Yeah.
On its what it can manufacture and what it can sell.
Yeah.
And if it's got a product it can't sell, then it goes to the wall.
Well, yes, but the BBC is, at the moment, doing exceptionally well in the ratings, isn't it?
Well, then they should be able to market a product then.
Well, yes, but the thing is, under the current system, they don't receive any money for it. They don't receive pro rata money for it, do they? They receive the licence fee. Mm-hmm. So they are producing a product which is saleable, because for once they're not being battered out of sight by ITV. But there is no way in which that can be put to use. It's just a fact. It just shows up in the ratings, and that's all.
That's correct. But the BBC also pay £9 million a year in order to play records.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think it should be the other way round. You know what I mean?
Oh, now then. Now
I know it's payola. I'm quite aware of that.
Yes.
But I don't see why the record company should be given free advertising through the BBC purely because they give gifts of records.
Well, that's the way it is, you see. Music is, for instance, on this programme, if Half Man, Half Biscuit want to advertise their record, then they have to come to Piccadilly and convince Piccadilly that it appeals to the public, you see.
We have to give you free gifts of our record.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's 10 bob's worth, right? It's 50p's worth of plastic. Right? On the other hand, if someone wants to advertise some dog food on Piccadilly, then they have to pay to do so.
Yeah, quite aware of that.
Now, it seems that there is, not that I disagree with it, there is a double standard, if you like, but the point is that that record, in turn, as well as being Half Man, Half Biscuit's product, subsequently becomes Piccadilly's product. Mm-hmm. And it plays its part in Piccadilly staying in existence, which is, of course, what we're here for.
And you still pay a fee at the end of the day for the privilege of playing that record.
To the artists, to the writers, to the publishers, and to the record label.
I believe the BBC's figure is somewhere in the region of £9 million.
Well, that may be the case.
But I just feel that it's an antiquated system, a system that has been abolished in quite a few countries in the world, of actually paying a licence fee.
Then, right, whereabouts, let's have a... You're in Stockport, presumably, are you, Tom?
At the moment, yeah, but my shop's in Manchester.
Right, who is your local MP?
I haven't the foggiest.
Oh, fabulous. Oh, how politically aware. Right, well, find out who he is.
Look, I'm quite aware of the thing about politicians, and there's no politician. If he thinks he's got a case in which he can step on a soapbox and shout the case, then he's prepared to take it up.
Yeah.
If he's got a case, whether it's morally justified but he's not, won't give him any political...
Well, I'm sure that something which made to do with something as universal as television would be a vote catcher if it made everyone... If you could make everyone's television viewing happier, then you would probably affect more people in this country than you would by altering any single other aspect of government policy. Sadly, that is the case.
What are you saying? Most people are quite happy paying the licence?
No, I'm saying that if people are unhappy and an MP were to be instrumental in changing their unhappiness to happiness, then he would be a very popular chap indeed. So why don't you approach your MP, point this out to him, and he may very well take it up.
It's just amazing. The thing that's amazed me is...
Well, you've gone on for quite too long now. I'm sorry, you're going to have to go.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Good grief. Right, OK, another break then.
Cheers!
Fee or taff or something.
Right, Jim.
What is it? What is your name?
It's Tafe, Jim. It's Welsh.
Tafe?
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yes, very
Anyway,
weird.
Jim,
Hey, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about the GPO, please.
Well, come on then.
Yeah, well, I'm absolutely disgusted with him. I'm supposed to be receiving a couple of about different parcels from different companies.
Yeah.
And
I've received about 5 out of 2, and this is only...
I'm sorry, you've received...
2 out of 5, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
And this has come from neighbours.
Yeah.
I'm just absolutely disgusted with it. I'd
Oh.
just like to know if there's... Yeah, I'd just like to know if there's anything I can do about it.
What do you mean, they've gone missing?
Yeah, they're just lost in the post.
Then ask the post office to look for them.
I've done that, actually.
Right. Have you got any proof of what was in them and the value of them?
Oh, no, I don't think I have, no.
No. Who sent them to you? Oh, look. Oh, good grief. Bill Cochrane in Sale.
Hello, Jim.
Yes.
Me again.
Yeah.
Tonight, different subject this time. The police.
Yes.
I noted a certain tone of acid in your voice when you introduced the programme, saying there were several topics you could talk about.
Yes.
About the new equipment that's been supposedly issued to the Metropolitan Police to combat riots. What's your opinion on that? Like I say, I detected a little acid note in your voice.
Well, let's put it this way. Mr. Douglas Hurd, the Home Secretary, announced in a Commons written reply, I beg your pardon, that he has given permission for the police to buy 24 bulletproof vehicles and 80 armoured personnel carriers.
Yeah.
Several hundred additional radios and 1,500 long truncheons.
Yeah.
2 feet 4 inches in length.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is in metric terms. And, right, I know what you're going to say, that the police have got to have some means of stopping riots and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And, of course, as with many arguments about crime and punishment, there has got to be a short-term solution to violence and crime. But also, there's got to be a long-term solution.
I agree.
Because you cannot go on bunging in short-term solutions, slapping more and more people in prison, buying more and more riot shields and truncheons and tear gas and all the rest of it forever and ever. Otherwise, the country will become one big battleground.
Yeah. Well, have you done any study at all on the French national system of policing?
I know a certain amount about the way it's separated into various...
That's right, you have the Police Nationale, the Gendarmerie and the CRS.
Yeah.
Now, in France, actually I've done a bit of reading on this in the recent past, this is what prompted me to call you.
Right.
The Police Nationale have very limited powers, unlike the British body.
Right.
Now, all they do, they detect crime, and then if they make an arrest, they do not follow it up, they take they take the suspected offender to the local magistrate, who then interviews them.
Right.
Now, the CRS and the Gendarmerie are separate units. The CRS are basically a paramilitary-style group that are housed in barracks and are only called out in situations of large-scale public disorder.
Right.
Now, I think it would be a far better system if we could have something on a similar basis in this country, because...
Well, what you're saying, William, is precisely the opposite, is just about the worst move in the wrong direction we could possibly make.
No, I don't think so. If we had small units that are not actually the bobby on the beat, I think we should get back to the system where we have the bobby on the beat, walking about saying, hello, love, how you doing, cup of tea, what's going on, this, that and the other, and have a separate unit that is used only in the gravest circumstances.
And who would decide what were the gravest circumstances?
Well, let's put it this way. If you've got something on the scale of the Broadwater Farm, that was it October last year?
Yeah, I know. I mean, with hindsight, you can say that would have been an example.
Yeah, but the Broadwater Farm was not an overnight situation.
Right.
This was leading up for months and months.
Well, neither going right back to Brixton in 1981.
Yeah, it was leading up for months. Now, who cops for it? The lad on the beat, doesn't he? All the time. Which strains public relations all the further. Because if you happen to get caught up in a situation like that and you get a smack round the ear all off a copper, you think, hello, all coppers are the same, they're a bunch of whatnots. So it strains public relations. If there was a separate force, the police, I think, would be relieved of a certain amount of that pressure, where they could get back to the old system of many years ago. And if there was a separate, not so much in the CRS mould of why do I have difficulty saying
I don't know, yeah. Anyway, yeah.
That type of system, a paramilitary organisation, not to the same extent of armoured vehicles, etc. Well, a squad that are trained to be called in at ultra-short notice when the normal bobby on the beat would require that kind of backup, and then withdraw the police units, let this particular unit get in, sort the trouble out, get back to normal again. I think that's a far better system.
And you think that there would be less hostility towards the police in general because they wouldn't be identified with these snatch squads or specially trained elite groups or whatever?
Yeah, because I know a couple of bobbies, and like especially during the miners' strike, the riots in Toxteth and Moss Side in '81.
Yeah.
The local people get to know them. If they're good bobbies, you know, like what the area men is, area constables, the old community bobby. And then the following night, it kicks off with a few troublemakers, which escalates. And that friendly community bobby is then withdrawn. They stick a crash helmet on his head, and he goes in, and he's a totally different.
Oh, I know, mate. Pardon? I know. I've seen a bobby change like that.
Yeah. Well,
without having to put a helmet on. Don't worry about that.
Well, then all the work that he's done over the last year or two, or however many years, he's worked his patch to build up that sort of like little bit more feeling between himself. Is ruined, and he's got to start all over again.
All right, fair enough, William. You've been going on for far too long now, and in any event, it's nearly 5 minutes to 11. So there you are. I mean, you might have something to say on that subject in the next hour of the programme, whether or not we should have a specially trained elite riot squad to help us out in times of distress of the sort which Sir Kenneth Newman envisages. Right, a break and then some exceptional music from John Inman to take us up to the news. From the album Never Mind the Originals, here's the Heebie-Jeebies, and that's Kenny Rogers, and it's not called... no, Kenny Rogered, and it's not called what you imagine it's called. It's called You're My Son. There we are. 11:15, and that's typical of the sort of music which we're going to feature for the rest of the programme, right the way through until 1 o'clock. In other words, tripe, because it's the all-crap music show tonight on the Jim H. Reeve programme, in view of it being my last one before I disappear for my holidays. And you'll be delighted to hear that Rita Roe has arrived for a welcome, if rare, visit, and we'll be speaking to her after this. And the prodigal Rita Roe joins us in the studio. Oh.
I'm not going to help you.
Good, wasn't it?
Why should I help you?
Why should you? What have you ever done for me, Rita Roe, eh?
Well, therein lies a tale.
Have you any idea what's been going on in your absence?
None at all. Tell me all about it, and I'll tell you where I've been. Well, I'll tell you some of where I've been.
I've been flooded, yes.
You've been flooded?
I've been flooded, yes. Anyway, that cleared up, and I have a lot of letters as well, demanding to know where you are. Some people claiming to have kidnapped you.
Oh, no.
And trying to extort sums of money from me.
Well, that's quite near the truth, actually. That's near the truth.
So, where?
Well, I'll tell you about it. Tell you about the letters.
Stop shouting.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to shout. This thing is so far away from me. I like to be near it, you know.
What?
The microphone.
Oh. Yes.
You threw them all in the bin in disgust.
I did, because I was pining a little myself, Rita.
Well,
and I didn't like having them around the studio because they reminded me of you.
That brings us on to next week, I suppose, does it?
No,
No. We won't mention that.
Yeah, all the many poems about you.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
And you throw them all away?
Yeah.
What
Bitter memories.
What's that bit of paper there?
That's the weather.
Oh, right. No, it's not for me then.
No.
So we won't talk about the holiday then, I don't suppose.
No, I want to know where you've been.
I've fallen in love, actually, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been busy.
Well, I suppose the two go hand in hand, I expect.
Yeah,
yeah.
They do. This is why. I mean, I'm back now. I mean, that's all over. That's finished with. I'm not in love anymore, Jim, and
You've seen sense?
I'm back to you.
Yep.
Yes.
Treat them rough, eh?
Do you want to talk about the holiday now? You don't want to talk about the holiday.
Well, I'm going on holiday, Rita.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, yes.
I'm going away next week.
Oh.
For 2 weeks.
I'm going away next week
no.
for...
How long for, Jim?
For, a fortnight.
No,
yeah.
really? You are on an aeroplane or anything like that?
I'll be travelling by Orville and Wilbur's invention, yes.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Big sort of silvery thing.
Yeah. Where are you heading for?
Well, somewhere warm, you know.
Yeah. Me too. A lot of sports out there as well.
Yeah.
Where I'm going to, not where you're going to.
Oh, no. I'm going somewhere completely different altogether.
Maybe we should talk about the... Well, I mean, we're not going together.
No.
Good heavens. Well, we'll talk about the theatre review, shall we?
Yes, let's.
Caught in the act. Appropriately, Caught in the Act, I went to see tonight. I thought it was quite an appropriate title, don't you?
Well, it depends.
Well, I won't tell you about the... Well, I had a phone call today, actually, Jim. Yeah. I didn't really know what they referred. And they sort of said, that's a bit of a coincidence, isn't it?
Was it aha?
Yeah, it was one of those.
Yeah.
It was somebody fitting all the pieces together, or so they thought.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not true.
No.
So, Caught in the Act.
Deny that completely.
At the Royal Exchange. And it was press night tonight.
Oh, what does that mean?
Well, we had all the zhuzh tonight. We had all the free drinks, and we got the... Oh, it was lovely.
And what have you brought
all
me?
the journalists.
What did you wrap up in your serviette for me?
I've got a programme for you which has been scribbled on a little bit.
Great.
The Caught in the Act is a French farce. Very good fun, actually. It was written in the sort of 1920s, 1930s. And it's a typical farce with all the sort of popular elements of mistaken identity and compromising situations. Not Brian Rixey. No trousers came down, Jim, tonight. Everything else did. Everything came off. It was the women who were sort of disrobing.
Oh.
So we had mistresses and we had hot-blooded young men and some old men as well who were quite hot-blooded.
Yeah.
And the storyline, which I know you're dying to hear, this chap called Tricomte.
Yes.
Lovely French accent there, isn't it?
No.
He's a pillar of society and of the establishment, yeah? And he's trying to implement the new directive issued from the Justice Department, which is to uphold the dignity of the magistrate's office. Yes? But he's thwarted at every... it's a good word. Thwarted at every turn.
Thwarted at every turn,
Yes, mainly by Madame Gobet, who's a chorus girl. She is an actress.
And a thwarter.
Yeah, and she's a bit sexy too, because I'll tell you now that it's played by Gabrielle Drake.
Oh.
Who's going into Crossroads.
Oh, dear.
And did a few saucy things before she went into Crossroads. But we won't go into that just right now.
No.
Anyway, Tricomte's colleagues decide that they'll play a bit of a trick on him because he's so perfect. Such high morals. And they engineer for Madame Gobet to visit him when his wife goes away, his wife and daughter goes away for the weekend or something, or for the day. And this actress arrives, and she's actually paid to seduce our man. Anyway, he's just getting into things. He is being seduced in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a dreadful thing to see, but he's being seduced when shock horror. I've been with a friend tonight who's a bit like that. He's into shock horror.
What, he's a bit of a horror?
Yeah, no.
Oh.
Unannounced and unexpectedly, the minister arrives. So suddenly, the guardian of the area's morals is in danger of being branded a cad.
Right.
You can imagine the situation.
Oh.
She's in the bedroom. The minister arrives at the door. He's doing everything to try and keep her in the bedroom. When she comes into the drawing room or wherever it is...
Was my face red, etc.?
Exactly. But being an actress, you see, she's terribly clever and she passes herself off as this chap's wife. Which is fine.
Sure.
Until the minister quite fancies her and ends up going to bed with her. Thinks he's going to bed with this chap's wife. And it gets terribly, terribly complicated. Because, of course, he isn't.
Yes, right.
And she's very hot-blooded, as all actresses are, probably. Anyway, it's very funny. It's very funny. There's lots of toing and froing and people being in bed with other people. Although you don't see it, it's very nicely done.
Do they actually...
One only hears it reported.
Yes. I mean, does it actually get
stunned,
laughs?
aren't you?
No, I was going to say...
Yeah, it does.
You're talking about farces, and when the word farce is used, I always think of... well, as you
think of
rightly...
Brian Rix.
I think of Brian Rix with no trousers on. And that's not something I like to do, I can assure you.
No, I mean, it is farcical, because you've got all those elements, as I said earlier, of mistaken identity and people turning up at the wrong spot, and it's terribly embarrassing. And
But I mean, is it genuine?
Hang on, let me finish. People think they're having an affair with someone who's married to someone else when they're not at all, so it's all of that. But it's not Brian Rixey, because no one loses their trousers.
No,
so it's not silly. There isn't all that rushing around.
Sure,
Would you like to speak?
I was going to say, is it actually funny? Let me give you an example, right? You know the bit in Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yeah.
Where Harrison Ford gets his gun out and shoots the bloke with the sword, which is the last thing you're expecting, and that gets a laugh. In the middle of an adventure film, dramatic film, that gets a laugh. Now, is this on that level of effectiveness?
Yes,
or is it just endless people... glimpses of people running up staircases and...
No, that's terribly Brian Rix and Alan Ayckbourn, isn't it? I mean, no, there's no staircases at all involved. It is very, very funny. The audience laughed like hell, they really did, and gave them a couple of curtain calls as well. Very, very well acted. I mean, you've got a tremendous cast, and that's why it was lifted out of, I don't know, mediocrity, because you had such a good, strong cast. Very, very funny. I don't know that it's everyone's cup of tea. I mean, it's nice and light, and it's nice to go down there. My theatre-going partner said he thought that maybe you had to be in that frame of mind. But I disagree with that, because I wasn't in a very good mood when I went to the theatre and laughed through it.
Oh, did you the world of good, didn't it?
It did me power good, love. Oh, I loved it.
Excellent.
Yes, I really liked it.
So how many ticks on the Rita Roe scale of... On a scale of very, very good indeed?
We don't do that anymore, because it was good for what it was. And especially after the two... I mean, the last two that I reviewed, if you remember, from the Royal Exchange, were so awful that it was really nice to see the Royal Exchange getting back to doing something really good.
Right.
With a very, very good, strong cast.
Okay.
So we don't give it any ticks, we don't give it any points, because we don't do that anymore.
But just give it
But if you want a really funny, good night out, then go and see it.
Right.
It was nice and light. It's not going to change the world, but it was nice.
At the Royal Exchange, it's called Caught in the Act. What was the original French title? Do you have any?
It was called, I think, Madame Présidente.
Oh, so it's nothing to do with being caught in the act. Right.
No,
the
but
title
Caught in the
isn't-
Act
yeah.
is probably more appropriate.
Okie doke.
And it's on until the 2nd of August.
Excellent. Very good, madam. This, the subject of holidays, actually...
Yeah, I knew you couldn't resist.
No, it just reminds me...
Do you want to make an announcement here and now, Jim?
It just reminds me of when the famous theatre critic...
Oh, sorry.
Kenneth Tynan was going on holiday, and in the departure lounge, he turned to his wife and said, "I wish I had my piano here." And she said, "Why?" He says, "The tickets are on it."
You're going to giggle at that?
You please yourself.
I'll tell you my joke.
Off mine. All right, then what?
Some music. I'll tell you a joke. This will make you giggle.
Go on.
No, not on the air.
Oh, it's one of those jokes, is it? Right, OK, then. So that's it then, Rita. So, well, we're off on our separate holidays now.
That's right. So we're going to be away for 2 weeks.
That's right, but...
At the same time, but not together, of course.
Sure, and we'll send each other postcards, won't we?
Yeah.
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 And so you'll be back in, what, sometime?
Well, about the same time that you're back.
Yeah, OK, then, fair enough. And we'll have
Maybe
a
I'll see you at the airport, who knows?
Oh, no, it's a small world, isn't it? Yeah. OK, then.
Coincidences.
Yes. Right, Rita, thank you very much indeed. See you soon, then.
See you soon. Have a good holiday.
Oh, and you, too, yeah. We've got the ambassador there.
Yeah, don't worry.
OK, right. Very good.
Introducing Silver Wheels...
Pill that stop you being seasick. Fine, that's it from Rita Roe for the moment, and she'll be back in a couple of weeks, I trust. Anyways, we'll expect her when we see her. I always think that's the best policy. Right, that's the cultural spot of the evening done away with, and we now return to the garbage. The music, of course, is unmitigated garbage this evening, and your good selves are, of course, garbage. But then again, that's been the case for as long as I can remember. Music such as this, a classic from Slim Dusty. Well, there isn't one more anything. I suppose he means one more drink. That's excellent, actually. I'm sorry, I don't think that is bad. I think that's a brilliant record. Slim Dusty, and is it called Duncan? Yes, it's just called Duncan version 1, and the B-side is called Duncan version 2. I think it's a very, very clever song indeed. Yeah, please yourselves. Right, a break, and then we're going to Oldham, Swinton, and, Holmes Chapel. It does, 28 minutes to midnight. Sarah Jones in Oldham.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, I'm phoning up about NSPCC. A girl who lives near us goes out a lot and leaves a little boy on his own, and he's only 5.
How do you know?
Well, we've seen her going out, and, we went down, knocked on the door, and, nobody comes to the door.
Then perhaps there's nobody in?
No, there ain't only little boy in bed.
Have you seen him in bed?
Yeah, because we've seen him jumping from bedroom window and crying with no clothes on.
So, what have you done about it?
Well, last night we phoned NSPCC up.
Yeah.
And they said they'd send somebody round within half an hour.
Yeah.
And police come round, knocked on the door. Nobody comes to the door. And one of the neighbours said something to the police. And then, police went. So we phoned them back up. And they sent police round again. So they knocked on the door again, went to one of the neighbours, and then went away and never bothered. So we phoned police station up and asked them what they were doing about it. So they said, well, can we have your name and address? And we said, no. So this woman said, well, that's how the situation lies, and slammed phone down.
A policewoman?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we got back onto him, and a fella answered it second time. So we said to him, how ignorant she were, put it phone down, and he says, well, there's nothing more we can do, only leave him until, send somebody round to see his mother tomorrow. So whether anybody had come round or not today, we don't know. But, tonight she's gone out again and left him on his own.
What did this neighbour say? Have you any idea?
No, we don't know.
Are you on speaking terms with this neighbour?
Well, not really.
Well, why don't you get on speaking terms with him or her?
Because they're ignorant. And, when we phoned NSPCC up tonight, they said to us, well, can't you go down and do something? But, it's got no to do with us. We aren't their social worker.
That's true, although you are taking what one would describe as a kindly interest in the welfare of the child.
Yeah, but, like, they're not doing anything. So it's like we said to them tonight, if anything happens to him, like, what will you do then? And they said, well, what can we do? I said, exactly.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they must know legally what they're able to do and not able to do. Have you spoken to the social services department?
No. A social worker phoned me up last night.
Yeah.
And it was him who said that they were going to send police round.
Yeah.
But, like, they just knocked on the door and went. But, like, he's jumping from the bedroom window. And then, like, for about an hour and a half. And then he's in bed. And then he's, like, at window, crying, with no clothes on.
So you've tried the NSPCC?
Yeah.
You've tried the police?
Yeah. Like, all they do is slam the phone down on you.
You've tried, well, yes. You've tried the social services department?
Well, it was social worker that phoned me up last night.
Presumably they'd been contacted by the NSPCC, hadn't they?
Yeah.
And what did they say that they had done everything that they could do?
Well, no, they just said that they sent police round.
Yeah.
And they didn't. Police never did now.
Well, did you tell the social services that?
Yeah, because we phoned them back again.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, well, we'll look into it. We'll send someone round tomorrow, like, to warn her. But we've seen her going out tonight. And he's on his own again.
As far as you know, has anyone been round during the day?
Well, no, not that we know of.
Then what I said, I mean, obviously this is costing you time and money, but to leave a kid in that exposed to that sort of danger is clearly very unwise, and you're doing quite right to try and bring it to someone's attention. Do you know who you spoke to at the social services department? No, they just said that he was a social worker. He didn't say who he was or anything. Well, what I would do, Sarah, I mean, I know that's not your real name, but obviously you don't want to give your real name. Get back on that sort of sting and to go to that sort of trouble. Do you? Well, it's like this has been going on for months. She's been going out leaving him. You know, like going out about 8:30 and coming home about bloody 1 o'clock. And, like, nobody's ever bothered. But, like, we've seen it going on for that long now. I mean, it's not on. He shouldn't be left on his own. No, clearly. But the point is, I mean, I think we're all agreed on that, but it's how you can actually get something done about it. Tonight, when we phone that social worker up, he just says, oh, we'll try and investigate. And, like, police come up, they knocked on the door. I know, you told me this. Well, like, they're just not doing anything. Right. From a Nick in Oldham, this is, presumably, is it? Yeah. Yeah. Right, well, if you want to go to the trouble, then get onto the social services department again tomorrow. Yeah. And tell them about it. If you're not, tell them exactly what's happened, that you've reported it several times and nothing has been done as far as you can ascertain, and that you want something doing. And if they don't, in fact, don't even bother with all that crap, just say, right, put me on to the gaffer. I want to talk to the gaffer. I'm not being fobbed off with some sort of, you know, trainee social worker or something like that. Yeah. And tell them what's happening. And at least get them to explain to you what the legal position is, because they can only act within the powers which are legally given to them, so that at least you know that you've done everything you can, and it's not because you've not been pushy enough or something in the event of something awful happening. Yeah. I mean, I know that's, in some ways, that's just saying just make sure that your own conscience is clear, but at least it's better than it not being clear. Yeah. Right, OK, then. Right, sure, Thanks very much. Keep going. I mean, you know, it'll be like the gas board, I expect, but keep trying and maybe you'll get somewhere in the end. Yeah, right, thanks very much. OK, so, and listen, I'll tell you what, if you still don't get any satisfaction tomorrow, then get back to us here. Yeah. And let us know what's happened, OK? Right, OK, thanks very much. You're very welcome, Chuck. Ta-da now. Ta. Oh dear, that's dreadful, isn't it? Isn't it annoying when you just can't get anywhere with people? It's dreadful. Not Sarah Jones, I mean with places like the social services. Lee Wilson in Swinton.
Right, Jim. I was reading through the Daily Mirror today, right? And it said that the government said that work training should start at the age of 14. Now, what do you think of this?
Oh, I think, yeah, well, work training really starts at the age of about 4.5, doesn't it, Lee?
No, you know what I mean.
You mean industrial experience and all this sort of thing? Yeah,
it's just like a rip-off of the YTS, isn't it?
Well, yes, I can't see that whatever age you start training for jobs, it's not going to make any difference if there are no jobs to be had, is it?
Yeah, there is jobs out there, though.
Yeah, but what is it, one for every 28 unemployed people, something like that?
Yeah, but with this scheme, unscrupulous employees will just get young kids in I'm employing for about a tenner.
Employers. Yes, well, this already has been going on for several years under a variety of names, you see. YOPS, I think it was called at one time, and YTS and all this sort of thing.
Yeah, but what's going to happen? They'll just get down to a lower and lower age, won't they?
Well, yes, I suppose perhaps included amongst Mrs Thatcher's Victorian values are old, dear, cherished Victorian traditions like little lads of... How old are you, Lee?
I'm 15.
You're 15. You're probably a bit on the tall side, aren't you, for going up a chimney?
No, I'm a bit smaller, actually.
Are you really? Oh, you might be in with a chance, then.
Yeah, I hope not, though.
What?
I was thinking, actually, you know, when you go on holiday next week...
Yeah?
See a chance of me getting that on your show?
None whatsoever.
Standing. Oh, come on, Jim.
What?
I'm pretty brainy, me.
Are you?
Yeah, you know, I'll prove it, right?
Well,
you know, seeing as though you're playing rubbish music tonight,
yeah.
Why don't you play the Smiths?
Yes, that's very true, actually. I hadn't thought of that.
To tell you the truth, I like the Smiths.
You do?
Yeah. We'll still play them.
Well, this has put me on the spot, really, Lee, because I don't really know what to do now. The Smiths are rubbish, that's true.
Yeah, but
therefore, I ought to play them. Well, I ought to play them just to offend you, but then again, if you like them, then you'll enjoy the record anyway.
Yeah, but you know,
so I can't win, can I?
All my mates at school, like, we all appreciate you, and they think, oh, well, if the King plays the Smiths and say they're rubbish, that goes, doesn't it?
No, you're trying to outthink me here, aren't you?
I know.
Oh, yes, you are. You're trying to kid me.
I'm not like that.
A bit of reverse psychology. Well, you're not going to get away with it.
I'm not like that.
Are you not?
No.
Oh, all right, then.
I better talk a bit more sense than her going on about the moles who'll be on next.
Jane, did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
Oh, all right, Jane.
Hi.
It's me.
Do you know anything about moles, then?
Well, it depends what moles you're talking about. You're talking about the chemistry ones.
The chemistry moles?
Yeah, that's the relative atomic mass divided by the moles in grams.
You cocky little devil.
I want to get on your show, Jim.
Well, you're not getting on it like by being a little clever trousers, are you?
Pardon?
You're not going to get on it by coming on here being a little clever trousers in front of everybody.
Oh, come on, Jim. Let's have a job, please.
Oh, wait, listen. Alan Bleasdale's got copyright on that. Push off. Give him a programme. Jane.
Yeah?
Come on.
Oh, well...
a horrid little child, wasn't he?
Yeah, but how do I follow something like that?
I don't... Well, you can talk a lot of nonsense as usual, I expect.
Oh, thanks. Right. Well, actually, what I wanted to ask was what's the difference? You know the sanctions that the police are being reissued with,
yes.
or hopefully. What is the difference between the ones they've got now, yeah, and the continental ones, besides the size?
Well, the ones our policemen have got are only 9 inches long, you see. Whereas the ones that French policemen have are very, very much longer.
Yeah, I realise that. But is there any difference, I mean, you know, physically speaking?
Well, I don't know.
Are they packed with anything, or...?
Oh, I've no idea, madam. No, I think they're just sort of a nice piece of gelutong or something like that. Nicely polished, you know.
You see, what's making me think here is the peelers. Do you remember the peelers? You probably do. From way back, yeah. Used to have really long ones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I suppose you'd probably know that.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Yes. Having seen lots of pictures and things.
Yeah.
And I wonder if we're kind of regressing history-wise rather than going forward.
Well, I think that's been obvious for about 5 or 6 years now, hasn't it?
Yeah, but not that far. I didn't realise. I thought we were going back to Victorian times.
Do you think that perhaps the new riot helmets will be shaped like a top hat?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. But I mean, you see, I'm a bit of in a bit of a quandary about all this because having seen the French police, having had the honour of seeing the French police in action, yeah, where they come down on a riot on horseback, swinging these huge truncheons, and knocking people right, left, and centre. They do it in the most marvellous arc, and they do it extremely fast. And if there's anybody in the way, they either get trampled by the horse or they get knocked down by these truncheons.
Right.
Right. I can't see what good it's going to do, our police, unless they're going to be on horseback.
Well, that may very well be part of the plan. We don't know, do we? I'm sure that we won't learn everything until it's actually happened, as tends to be the case.
The thing that also worries me is the CS gas thing. Because have you been watching the telly recently where they did it in South Africa?
No, I don't watch television.
Oh, I can understand this. Well, where they let off the CS gas canisters and then push the hose pipes through. And so what happens is really disgusting because it sticks, it makes the CS gas stick to the skin.
Right.
And they can't get rid of it, and it's in their eyes, and I mean, it's much worse than actually just letting off the CS gas canister.
Of course, there are those who say if you didn't riot, you wouldn't get sprayed with CS gas.
That's right. Yeah, it's ever so difficult. I mean, I don't think there is. Do you have a solution?
Not that I can think of at the moment.
I mean, you've got to keep the police safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing that I could add is perhaps that before they actually start doling out these weapons and things, is they actually get police and have psychiatric assessment before they actually put them on the line.
Oh, well, how many do you think would... Oh, never mind.
How many do you think would pass?
Yes. Yeah.
Not a lot.
Listen, no, sure. Any sign of the moles?
You'd love this, Jim. This guy next door...
I'll love it if it's short and quick.
Okay, I will. Shut up, then. This guy next door has now set traps, has stuck mill smoke, has done chemicals, and the little buggers are still digging away. And he's getting more and more annoyed. I mean, there is no doubt about it, he's getting really annoyed. But it's quite fun watching him run around the garden and do all these wonderful things. And they're still not coming back to me, and nobody's given me any suggestion on how to get them back yet.
No, well, never. Stay tuned, then. I'm sure something will crop up in the meantime.
Okay,
all right.
then, Jim.
Meanwhile, I suppose that's what passes for entertainment in where is it? Holmes Chapel. Good, that was Jane White once again, you see. It's a bit like the pop world, this programme. People think that once they've sort of droned on and on about something, then that makes them, that gives them carte blanche to drone on and on and on about everything under the sun. However, that's the price one has to pay. We'll have another break before things get completely unbearable.
You may...
12 minutes to midnight, and talking of that very thing, John Rowe in Chorlton. Hello.
Hello there, Jim.
Yes.
I must say that I stumbled upon your radio programme a couple of nights ago, and it's rather refreshing to know that we've moved away from the parochial platitudes of last night. Now, just a couple of points of observation.
To which parochial platitudes are you referring?
Well, we were talking about the thing about Liverpool and Manchester, the jokes that have been spun last night.
All very dreary, yes.
Yes, it was indeed. But must admit that it's rather refreshing tonight.
Oh, good.
Yes, one particular point...
trouble with the old throat, John, have we?
Yes, I do have, actually. Yeah. Sorry about the suffering from hay fever.
Yeah. I fancy a good spit.
Sorry?
Do you want a good spit?
Not over the station. I wouldn't dream of doing that.
Okay, then.
Okay.
Let's have a good... swallow hard, then.
Right. The point about the civil list last night, the source of revenue, I would agree with the chap who said that it comes from taxation. Now, the point why it has been called the civil list is to remove it from the arena of parliamentary debate and to avoid the controversy. Now, moving away from that particular point, with regards to the Stalker affair, you mentioned that so many points were being raised that you couldn't see the wood for the trees.
Stalker?
The Stalker affair.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I thought you said soccer.
The Stalker
yes.
affair. Now, I think really these are in fact really material points which have been raised because they all go towards establishing the credibility of the police. There was the issue as to whether Anderton is a member of the Freemason, I think it was alleged. And also, very recently, we've heard that Mr. Stalker himself was being protected whilst he was carrying out the investigation in Northern Ireland. Now, clearly, if there has been threat to him, then, certainly I think the public ought to know about this in the long run. Having finished with that particular point, the other one which I'd like to move on to is with regards to the Botham affair. It has been stated that this was in fact a public meeting, but one point which has been overlooked, or so it seems, is that a condition of on the ticket, well, I don't know if it was on the ticket, but what was requested was that no tape recording or no transcript should be taken, really, and in flagrant breach of this, this particular reporter did so.
How do you know that this was stipulated?
Well, I listened to the chap from the bowling club, and he was interviewed on Piccadilly the other day, and he stated this. Now, clearly, there has been a case of breach of confidence, which I have no doubt that Mr. Botham's solicitor will be looking at. Now, I'm not particularly concerned who was the victim in this particular instance. The point is this, that if it was agreed that no tape recording should be made or any form of transcript, then the individual should have honoured that particular request.
But then that would be hiding behind a nicety, wouldn't it? The fact would remain, John, that Botham had made these remarks, which I don't... I mean, he's trying to flannel his way out of it by saying that they were made in a light-hearted fashion during a convivial evening.
Indeed.
They were not light-hearted. They were positively scathing and grossly insulting.
Well, I appreciate that particular point, but I think...
therefore, it's okay if he says it to a room full of people who are paid handsomely to hear him say it, but he's not happy if someone breaks the news outside of what he's said.
No, I think the principle which we are overlooking here, Jim, is that, in fact, there was, in fact, a request. And I think that all paying member would have...
well, certainly, he's bound to request. He's certainly going to request that no one... He is going to say, look, I am going to abuse the England selectors, the people who gave me the opportunity to become cricket's first millionaire, for instance, by selecting me for the England cricket team. I am going to abuse them, question their sobriety and their ability to do the job, call them correctly or incorrectly a bunch of geriatrics, but I don't want you to tell anyone.
Sorry, one point which ought to be clarified here, Jim, is that the request did not come from Mr. Botham himself, but the organisers. So I'm not prepared to say whether they had seen Botham's speech prior to making the request, but it follows the fact made. Now, I think it was rather despicable that the journalist, I certainly wouldn't be so rude as to call him a two-bit journalist over there, but what I would say is that, it was rather despicable for him to have taped it in such a surreptitious manner. Now, if he felt that he ought to have reported what was stated, then he should have done it quite openly.
Well, certainly, and then there would be no question of all this argy-bargy as to whether the reporter has acted in the right spirit and so on and so forth.
Indeed.
But I mean, then again, in view of what's happened to Botham in the last 2 months, then he should very well know better than to go and do that sort of thing. Because even if it hadn't been tape recorded, the whole point was that it was a meeting full of people, each of whom was perfectly at liberty to go outside immediately he'd finished speaking and tell somebody else what he'd said.
Well, I think the implication of your remark is simply that this particular reporter knows or believes that Botham is a bit of a controversial individual who's been in deep waters, and therefore he should jump on the bandwagon, very much like the ex-Miss Barbados, who felt it the right thing to do. And it is a bit sad when journalism has to go to this extent.
Yes, but Botham is perfectly aware of that. He knows what the press are like because he has been their victim since the tour of the West Indies, and therefore he should be appropriately circumspect in his behaviour, shouldn't he?
Jim, I see the point that you are making, but does it simply mean that because he is, in fact, a public figure, now anything which he states, and someone, if he should make a remark to you in the confines of your home, does it necessarily follow that you should, in fact, record what he is saying to you and take it off?
But this was not in the confines of his home, John. This was at a meeting for which he was being paid something in the region of £3,000.
Well, that may very well have been that he had been paid, but the point being this, that, in fact, it may have been that you could have, in fact, paid. I don't know if any members of the public could have gone along and paid. I don't know what, in fact, were the conditions. But the point is this, that at the end of the day, I think that, like honourable gentlemen, we all sat down, and it was very much like a communal gathering. in which it wasn't a request was made, and that whatever was said was to be kept within the four walls. But unfortunately, a journalist was there, and one has to more or less sympathize with the description which Botham had used about the journalist. If there was no journalist there, then we would have a good night. Now, it's very sad that they should live up to that particular reputation. Anyway, Jim, I think I've rambled on long enough.
You certainly have, sir.
Well, thank you very much, but at least I do know when my time is up. Unfortunately, many other people don't.
I thought that was what you were trying to imply. Thank you very much, John, and good night. And thanks a bunch, because what you've done is that you've left it too short for me to get a record in before the news and too long for me to flannel my way up to the 12 o'clock news. So I haven't got a clue what I'm going to do now. So we'll have a commercial break and then I'll think about it therein. What we'll do is I'll give you a little taste of the all-animal segue that we're going to have at, around about 12:30, I should think. The all-singing dogs, cows and sheep mega mix, right? This is one of them. Oh, no, it's not. That's the wrong one entirely. Stop it. This is it. This is the singing sheep, the B-side of the one that I brought you the pleasure of last night. This is... what's it called? Oh, Rock Around the Clock by the Singing Sheep. And I'll just give you a little taste of it to take us up to the news at midnight, and you can have the full whack at about 12:30. Evasions and the Wicker Rap. That's from about 1981, I would imagine. Very, very clever indeed. Good, and of course I'm very, very clever indeed myself. So clever, in fact, that I'm not working for the next 2 weeks. So that's hard lines, isn't it? Because in precisely 51 minutes and 10 seconds, I'll be off here like... oh dear, I can't say that. Anyway, with scarcely imaginable rapidity and off on my holidays, so you'll have to struggle along with Michael Briscoe next week and the week after. But, I mean, give him a chance. I mean, he thinks he runs the place, so, you know, come on, humour him. And I suppose you can tell him any sort of snotty things that you want to say about me, won't you, behind me back while I'm away on holiday. So I should make the most of your opportunity. Good, let's see, Chris Butterworth in Stalybridge.
Hello?
Hello.
Jim, do you know last night when you were going on about manholes?
Well, somebody was, yeah.
Yeah, when you said that they're all cast iron.
Yeah.
And you can't weigh them in.
Yeah.
Well, the majority of them are aluminium.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Is that a fact?
Yeah. The new ones that they brought out, when they dig the holes up...
Yeah?
And roadworks and that, they put new ones down and take the old ones away.
Ah.
And they're alley.
And is alley worth a few bob?
Yeah, it is.
How do you know so much about scrap metal?
Well, I work at an engineering firm who gets scrap metal blokes, taking the stuff away, turning
Yeah.
and that.
And, I mean, I'm right in saying that, because I tried to weigh in some cast iron once, and the bloke offered to take it to the tip for nothing for me. He wouldn't give me any money for it, so presumably it's worth nothing, is it?
Well, not that much, no.
No.
But my old steel, I know a bloke from our works, he went to Carlisle for 2 days and did 2 hours work each day, shifted 600 ton of solid mild steel with 5 of his mates,
Yeah.
and got $4 grand.
Well, that's all right, isn't it, eh?
The company paid him for shifting it,
Yeah.
and he also got the money for weighing it in.
Oof, dear, oh dear, me.
It's no spend that, Jim.
Is there any more knocking about? Because I'm doing nothing next week.
Yeah, well, he comes around like every day, this bloke, shifted metal. He gets about 100 a day.
Yeah.
He goes to about 4 different places.
Dear, oh dear.
We give him 20 quid for shifting it,
Yeah.
and whatever he gets in for weighing it in.
Blimey, Charlie, I'm in the wrong job here, aren't I?
Yeah, you sure are. Anyway, you better liven things up. It's like House of Commons tonight.
It is a bit, isn't it? Well, I'm sorry, that bloke was a bit sort of, a bit thoughtful, you know.
Yeah, it's a bit, I don't know what you mean.
Anyway, presumably the next shower will put a stop to that.
Well, I want, can you stick me on top of your morons list?
Well, it's up to you, really. I mean, the remedy is in your own hands, Christopher, isn't it?
Yeah, really. I really want to be on your morons
I'm
list.
here as an honest broker.
Yeah. Well, anyone who phones up tonight, can you say to them, will they vote me in as a moron?
Well, no, I mean, I would be exceeding my authority if I did that. I mean, we cannot attempt to influence the jury, Christopher. You must get there purely on your own merits, right?
Yeah. Well, I want to beat, this
unless you can get us a job,
Well, no, I see, Jim. You give us a ring on the sly, and I might be opening a tin there.
Oh, well, we'll see what we can do then. All right.
Yes,
Okay, mate. Thanks very much indeed. Okay, I'll give you a tinkle.
Are you going now?
Yeah, no, you are. Yeah, that's right. I don't know whether he's still there, but I'm told that the Niobian embassy are trying to get in touch with me.
Yes, hello.
I can feel the vibes.
Hello.
Hello.
Right, we can stick me at the top of the morons poll as well if you want.
Yeah.
Right, you've had 1 or 2 requests for Wham and George Michael and dross like that?
None whatsoever.
Well, you've had some, I've heard them.
Have you?
Yeah. No, you've had them.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, right. Well, I'd like to make a request regarding them as well.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, don't play them. Right, okay. I've got a list of nasties here.
It's a deal.
Good.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh.
List of nasties. Number 6. Is that my music?
What?
The Freeman music.
The Alan Freeman music?
Yeah.
No, I didn't get around to it.
Well, I'll try and get some for you anyway.
Da 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 da.
Number 6. Removing old sellotape to reveal the very sticky mess beneath.
Oh, yeah.
Number 5. Scousers.
Oh, sorry.
Right. Number 4. Dialing 999 only to listen to the operator yapping on about her best friend's rheumatism. At 3. Salesman driving along the motorway, turning off at a junction in a light blue Sierra with a jacket on the rear offside hook and writing notes on a short handpad, relying on the self-centering capacity of the steering wheel. That really annoys me, that one. Number 2, treading on a zirconium slow worm. That's awful, that, yeah. And number 1, 2 weeks without Mr. James Reeve.
Oh, you're just trying to get around me, aren't you?
Yeah.
Aren't you?
Right. Now, you know those XR3s and so on the Botham Bridge?
Yeah.
Well, our embassy Corps Diplomatique vehicles have got the answer. Right, we just run the XR3s, the Astra GTIs and the Montego Turbos off the road.
Ah, that's okay then.
That's why there are so many ploughed fields on the side of motorways. You ever noticed that?
Sorry, what?
That's why there are so many ploughed fields on the side of motorways.
Ah, right, I understand. Listen, John, you are an ambassador, aren't you, from another planet?
Well, I'm actually an Earthling. I'm just a naturalised Niobian.
Yeah, sure, but you act as their ambassador.
I do, yeah.
You probably recall the incident a couple of days ago of the Argentinian diplomat who was involved in a drunk driving case.
Yeah.
And claimed diplomatic immunity.
Yeah.
Would the same thing be available to you, do you think?
Well, we don't suffer from alcohol at all.
But you're an Earthling.
Well, yeah, but I go through certain biological processes.
So you...
Alcohol doesn't affect me at all.
Oh, that must be awful.
Well, no, I can still drink it, and it's quite pleasant, really.
But you don't get any benefit from it?
I'll get the benefit, but I stay cool at the wheel.
You're not going to tell me you like the taste?
Well, some of it's all right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, all right then.
Anyway, you know, a couple of nights ago...
Are you going to speak any Niobian?
No, I don't know any.
Well, how do they communicate with you then?
It's all in this, you know, this subby telex equipment that we just bought that I told you about.
Oh, so it comes through in English?
Yeah. It translates, you see.
Right.
Now, about the Crimean War, a couple of nights ago, you said last time we fought the Russians was in 1854. Now, a couple of months ago, you said it was 1857, and I wrote to you and corrected you.
That's right, yeah.
I told you it was 1856 with the Peace of Paris, so in fact you've got it wrong twice.
Well, when did we fight? Right, when did the fighting actually stop?
It was 1856 with the Peace of Paris after Sebastopol fell.
Sebastopol, all right then, so that's 1856, right, OK. Happy now. No, you've had enough, no, shut up, no, you've had enough, I'm sorry, we're losing you. There must be something to do with the cosmic rays, push off. On to more serious matters. You may remember the lady who chose to call herself Sarah from Oldham, who was complaining about an hour ago, that a child was being left unattended in a house, and she'd been on to what she thought were the relevant authorities, and wasn't getting anywhere. Well, a couple of people have come on. Carol, who says she's from Plymouth, presumably she means from Plymouth originally, says the advice to that lady is as follows. Rather than trying to go in and get the child, which is illegal, you should try to entice the child out of the house and then call the authorities. OK, I mean, this is advice from Carol of Plymouth, not from me, you understand. If all else fails, says Carol, displaying a rather depressing degree of altruism, make friends with the woman and offer to babysit. Please yourself. Brendan in Moss Side says that the delay may be due to the fact that the police have to compile a report on the affair, and that can take up to 6 months. And apparently it isn't illegal to leave a child unattended unless the child comes to harm. So there you are. That's advice for you, Sarah, in Oldham. Paul Stott in Liverpool's on again and says he's got a funny joke.
It's Paul Stott, not Paul Stott.
Well, it says Stott here, and it might as well be Snot for all I care. Listen, mate, I'm off on my holidays in 43 minutes.
Well, do you know why people listen to your show? It's to listen to me, really.
Is it really?
Yeah, but anyway. Here's the 5 worst things, okay? The price of tickets to see the Smiths at the GMX Centre.
What?
The price of tickets to see the Smiths at the GMX Centre.
Yeah, what was it?
I don't know, it's daily.
15p?
Yeah, something like that. But, number 4, the GMX Centre.
Yeah.
Number 3, Manchester people. Number 2, getting a train to Manchester.
Yeah.
And number 1, getting a bus to Manchester.
Well, I'd have thought, I mean, the bus would be much slower. I would have thought...
That's more enjoyable, yeah. But, yeah, it's like, you know, I'd prefer to get executed with only 1 day to wait instead of 2 weeks, like. But anyway, what's another name for a Mancunian?
Oh, I don't know.
A smell bag. How do you know when a Mancunian's been in your house?
Paul?
Yeah?
Paul, do you have friends at all?
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh. Has anyone ever... I mean, you go in shops, presumably, and use public transport and sort of talk to people in the street. Has anyone ever told you that it's practically impossible to tell what you're saying?
Not really.
No.
But I'll speak clearly.
OK, then. Clearly, oh.
Yeah. How do you know a Mancunian has been in your house?
I don't know. How do you...
Just sniff up and the smell. OK. What type of car does a Wally drive?
I don't know.
A Citroen C2B Turbo. Ho-ho. And what's the definition of skill? Getting diarrhea on the wall. Ho-ho.
Yeah, well, we can see why Liverpool's famous for its comedians, can't we, Paul?
I know,
yeah.
but don't you agree that everybody listens to me?
No. Michael Wrigley in Peel Green. Come on.
Hello?
Yes?
Mike Wrigley?
No, you're Mike Wrigley.
That's right, yeah. It's my insurance, actually. It's about my dad. About 4 or 5 weeks ago, he took out an insurance policy. On death-only policy.
Yeah.
And quite unexpectedly, he died about 2 weeks after he took out the insurance policy.
Yeah.
And I wrote to the insurance company. So they wrote back and said, I have nothing to claim. And the thing is, I'm not worried about what money I get back. It's just that principal, they're doing a runner with my money, which is on the policy.
On what grounds do they say that you can't claim?
He said it was a TV, more than a paper advertisement. And he had to answer about 4 or 5 questions.
Yeah.
And they said that he answered the questions wrong, but I wanted to know what, in your position, what you'd do about it, you know.
What, now then, what question, do they mean that he gave incorrect information?
Yeah.
And do you believe that they are right?
I'm not quite sure about it, because my dad had a stroke about 6 years ago, and he's been quite right since after that, you know.
Well, the thing to do would seem to be, presumably there is some sort of watchdog organisation which tackles insurance companies who try and come the rubber duck. I would imagine there is. Citizens Advice Bureau is your first stop. A solicitor is probably your next. But it may cost you some money. And if you find out that, I mean, even maybe inadvertently, your dad gave misleading information, then as in the case of all insurance policies, whether it's, you know, life insurance or motor insurance or whatever, then the policy is void. And their rules are such that they sort of confiscate your money for telling them fibs in the first place. I mean, meaning...
The thing is, it's about my mum and dad were separated, so I was looking after my dad on my own, so if I'd have known my dad would have given wrong answers, I'd have took something about on my own, you know, I'd have made him go through a medical.
Yeah, but I mean...
I've lost out in that way, it's just, you know...
Sure, but
I had all the acceptance policies and things like that, you know.
Their response, presumably, to that will be, yeah, well, that's all very well, but you didn't, and I'm afraid we must cope with the circumstances as they now appear.
So you think I should go through the legal advice? And...
First of all, I'd go to the Citizens Advice Bureau, tell them your problem, and find out which body looks after complaints about insurance companies, because I'm sure there must be some sort of professional, you know, as there is with advertising standards authorities and things like that. There is an insurance... Oh, there's someone... Yeah, do you remember a few weeks ago on the programme, there is something which looks after motor insurance... overseas motor insurance companies.
Yeah.
So presumably there's one that does the same sort of thing for life insurance companies. But I mean, start there. If you don't get anywhere there, go and see a solicitor as cheaply as possible and see if you can get anywhere there. But it's, I mean, I know insurance companies do try and get out of paying if they possibly can. But they may be becoming the rubber duck. Yeah. All right, mate.
Yep. By the way, why did you accept all the breaks on your programme last night?
Why did I what?
Accept all the perks on your programme last night.
Well, you get what you're given, you see, in this game.
I listened, but, you know, it wasn't acceptable last night, so I turned off.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there you are, you see.
Anyway, thanks for your advice.
Oh, you're very welcome, young man. Ta-ta now, all the very best. Let us know how you go on. Neville something, what? Oh, Neville Sponge.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, Jim?
Yeah.
Yeah?
No,
right.
I'm not.
You're not?
No.
Sad to hear that. Right, I thought you'd be happy because you're leaving.
Well, yes, but I will be happy when I've left.
When you've left,
I'm
right.
sad because I have not yet left.
Okay, right, before we start, what do you call Paul Stott from Liverpool in a suit?
Go on.
The accused.
But how many times are people going to tell me this joke on this programme? What do you think? Do you think I'm Dave Ward or something? Do you think that the more often you tell a joke, the funnier it gets?
I've never heard that one before on your show.
The first time I heard it, it was...
but was it Paul Stott?
No, it was, what do you call... In fact, I can see it from here. Greedy Smith from Mental as Anything, the international rock megastar and close personal friend of mine, was good enough to record the Australian version of that joke on electromagnetic tape, and I've got it knocking about somewhere, but I can't find it. Only in Australia, it's what do you call a New Zealander with a suit on? The defendant. Right? That's how it works.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and since... Anyway, yeah, go on.
Right, you know when you lie in the sun for a long time?
Yeah?
It burns you, doesn't it?
Yes.
Right. So me and a certain lady friend, who shall not be mentioned...
Right.
Tina.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right, we've been pretty burnt, so... And it's getting a bit hard, you know, to, well, I'd like your advice, you know, what to do.
Well, there are certain books that you can buy which, will advise you on this sort of thing, Neville. Obviously, the point is not to bring the damaged areas into contact with each other.
But we're burnt all over.
Including the areas that you want to come into contact with each other. Mm-hmm. Yes, well, in the old days, it used to be calamine lotion. That was... Do you remember that? That's one of the 10 worst things in the world.
That was that pink stuff, wasn't it?
The pink stuff that used to dry and leave you covered in all this crusty stuff. It was horrible. And it didn't work anyway. It just made... When it went all powdery, it used to make you itch more. So what I should do, I mean, I should exercise a bit of self-restraint and leave it alone for a while.
Well, you know, it's getting a bit bad now. It's been about... How long's the sun been out? About a week?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, do you have this problem?
No, I don't have any problems at all.
Does Rita?
What?
Oh, sorry. There's something else I was going to tell you.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean?
Nothing. Go on.
Right,
anyway.
No, I mean Rita, I mean, does she have that problem?
I don't know. I must ask her at some point. Oh, write to her.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
oh, come on.
Hang on.
No, I'm sorry. There's no time for this sort of thing. Look, you stay out of the sun. You can't have it both ways, right? Do what I do. Stay out of the sun. And if you really want a suntan, then sleep nearest the window. That's the only solution I can offer you. You better have a break now, because we've not had one for a long time.
Oh, no.
26.5 minutes past midnight. Not long to go now. Carl Buckley in Alder the Edge.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I was on the other night, actually.
I know you were.
Yeah. Well, what I wanted to talk...
What do you mean, ha 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 ha?
No, what I wanted to talk to you about is a situation at work, right? Don't sound so bored. When I work at a petrol station, you see, and when I first started, you know, I got my P45 for my last job, and I forgot for a couple of weeks to give it my new employer.
Yes.
But after a couple of weeks, after my mum pushing me, I gave him the P45, and I was going through, you know, his drawers looking for some receipts or something the other day, and I found it, and I've been working there for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's still there. So I was wondering, you know, my mum's been telling me I should get something done desperately, but he's like very absent-minded. He doesn't, you know, you have to really push it into him, and he just doesn't. You don't get a wage slip or anything.
Yeah.
So my mum says I'll have to pay a bill or something from the national insurance because I'm not paying any insurance. Is that right?
No. What'll happen is that have you been paid? How have you been paid at the moment?
He just gets it and gets new wages out the till and gives them me like that.
Right.
Which you don't get a wage slip, nothing.
Right. Well, in that case, are your wages agreed? You know what you're supposed to be getting.
No, that's the thing. You see, when I started the job, he just says I'll get so much, and he gives me that out the till every week. Right.
He said that you would get so much gross.
Yes.
Right. Well, what will happen is that if he is paying you, if he said, oh, right, let's, for the sake of argument, say he said, right, I'll pay you £100 a week.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, obviously, you don't expect to receive £100 a week, because you will have tax and national insurance contributions deducted from it.
Yeah.
Therefore, what you should do, Carl, is put aside about, say, 25% of the money you get.
Yeah.
Put it in a deposit account or something like that, because eventually you'll have to pay it.
I will.
Yeah.
Oh. So how do they... I've anyway put it out so he'll see it. So when that gets going through, will I get sent a bill?
You may very well... I mean, well, that money is taxable, let's put it that way.
Should I get a tax rebate as well?
Well, it depends. It all depends on your precise circumstances. But what should happen is that your employer should have bunged that P45 in to the tax people.
Yeah.
They would then have sent him a tax code, which would tell him how much of your wages should be deducted in tax.
Yeah.
And he is then supposed to forward it to the Inland Revenue, right? He's also supposed to deduct your national insurance contributions and forward it to the DHSS.
Yeah.
Now, he is not doing. He is giving you your money gross, and at some point they will want back the money which he should have deducted.
Yeah.
So what you must do is, it depends, I don't know at what rate you will be taxed, because they've recently, I mean, they raised the tax threshold in the last budget and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But to be on the very safe side, put 25% of the money you get in a deposit account and tell him to get that P45 sent off as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you leave it too long, you'll spend the money and then you'll get a tax bill and you won't have the money to pay it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
So make sure he gets it sent off, but keep putting it on one side.
I will. Just say hello to my sister, Beverly.
All right,
And
then.
her boyfriend, Mike. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye now. There we are. Another problem solved. Good grief, I feel like Marjorie Proops. Michael Ball in Rochdale.
Jim,
Michael.
what I want to know is, why have we no amenities in Manchester?
What do you mean?
Sort of entertainments, recreational, stuff like that.
Well, I was understood that we had.
Well, like Alton Towers, that sort of thing.
Well, because that's in Staffordshire.
No, for a conurbation the size of Manchester, for our amenities, it's absolutely garbage.
Well, what... I mean, we used to have Bellevue at one time, remember?
And what happened to that?
Well, it's shut down, and now, as far as I'm aware, it's a housing estate.
Yeah, but why did it shut down?
Well, presumably because it couldn't be supported as a going concern.
But do you not think they should, for these people on the dole and just dossing about, we should offer more things for them to do?
Well, it would involve them... I mean, I remember going to Bellevue as a kid, and it cost a fortune.
Oh, no, that's not right.
Yes, it is. You weren't there.
Oh, yes, I used to go.
I didn't see you.
Very good. Now, come on, Jim, there must be some explanation for it. Is it down to the government in Manchester?
Well, I don't know. Look, presumably no one has come forward with a scheme for opening up a leisure park in Manchester. I mean, God knows, personally, I'd much prefer Manchester without one. Because having been to Blackpool and all this sort of thing and seen what goes on there, I mean, I find the whole thing so utterly squalid that I prefer not to have one in Manchester at all. Let them build it out in the country, at Alton Towers, for example, well away from here.
Have you been to Alton Towers?
I haven't, actually, no.
Well, do you not think it would be a good idea to have something like that in Manchester?
Well, I mean, things are starting to pick up a bit, aren't they?
Well, not really, no. What's it got to offer?
Well, you've got your ordinary things like baths and what have you, and this, there are more sort of leisure centres opening up. I mean, what you want is sort of a permanent fun fair kind of thing, don't you? Sort of an inland pleasure beach.
Yeah, where would you put it in Manchester, though, if you're going to build one?
Old Trafford.
Old Trafford?
Yeah.
You're joking.
No.
Well, could you not put it in Heaton Park or somewhere like that?
No, Old Trafford football ground.
Why?
Well, you can get plenty of people in, I gather, and you could fill it full of huge, dangerous machinery and stop them playing football there.
Well, what have you got against Manchester United?
I hate them.
Why, though?
Well, it's just the way it is. It's a law of nature, you see.
Is it because they're successful, do you think?
What, you mean because they keep winning the league championship over and over again?
No, well, they seem to be doing a bit better than your team.
It seems that they blew it again this year, didn't they?
Well, the other thing I did want to talk about...
And the year before.
We had some idiot on from Rochdale last night talking about the royal family.
And the year before that. What?
About the royal family.
Yeah.
Well, actually, what he said was true. The taxpayers are paying for them.
Yeah, but the money goes back, doesn't it? The vast majority of the money goes back.
Oh, no, that's not right. No, you're wrong there.
Listen, I would not defend royalty unless I were absolutely sure of my grounds. I wouldn't defend royalty for the sake of it.
No, well, where do you get your facts from?
Just from my massive brain, that's all.
Oh, no.
Yes.
There.
I'm sorry.
Jim, you're a peasant.
No, this is not the case.
Absolute moron.
Oh, right, fine. Well, good. Mike Ball in Rochdale. Jimmy White in Crumpsall thinks he's going to come on the programme, but he's mistaken. Paul Abbott in Chorlton comes on far too often than I care for, but we'll give him a minute and see how he goes on. Paul?
Hello, Jim?
Yes? Yes.
Yeah, hi. About Liverpool, come on, about Liverpool.
Yes.
Yeah, that guy who was on before wants to fight for the leisure park.
Yeah.
He can demolish Liverpool if he wants.
Well, it's already been done.
Yeah, well...
Oh, do you mean and build a...
Well, what's left standing, you know,
yeah.
like...
Oh, good, yeah.
Liverpool and stick a big leisure park on top of it there.
Brilliant idea, lovely.
Yeah.
Problem solved. Thank you.
Yeah, OK.
Right, good. Tony Brennan in Blakely.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, I come on the other night under the pseudonym of P2.
Yeah.
Talking about Freemasonry within the Greater Manchester Police. Righto. What it is, I had you obviously stumped for knowledge because your massive brain power wouldn't just quite bring it up to date.
That's
the book I was referring to was called In God's Name.
Yeah.
Righto. Obviously you've remembered this in the meantime.
That's right, it all comes back to me now.
Righto. Good man.
Yeah.
Now, I was talking in the, unfortunately I have to go out between the hours of 7 and 11 at evening to gargle my throat. I was talking with a man who works with a Liverpudlian that you had on your show about 12 o'clock last night, called Stamford. And I'll tell you what, he called him to hell. In fact, he said he was going to ring you up, but obviously he couldn't get through. He said he's the biggest cretin that walked God's earth.
Yeah.
You called me bourgeois the other night, and I was showing off. But I would like to give you why... The history of why the Liverpudlians are stupid.
Oh, good, OK.
OK.
Yeah.
Well, what it boils down to is the potato blight, and they come across from the Emerald Isle.
Yes.
And they got off the boats at Liverpool, obviously, and the fit and strong ones could manage to walk to Manchester.
Right.
The scabied ones and all the crap was left in Liverpool, could go no further.
And settled down and got on with things,
Exactly. You're in my train of thought, obviously.
Right.
Righto. Now, the other thing I would like to go on to, having cleared up these things for you now...
Actually, it reminds me of a humorous moment, one of the few...
Yeah, have you had any?
In one of Spike Milligan's Q2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 or something like that. And it is a sort of a mock... silent film made in Ireland.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of a shed, and nailed to the side of it was, it said Dublin Labour Exchange. For opening times, see what's on in Liverpool.
Now, you have tried to do away, I know you have done, you've tried to do away with the Liverpool jokes, and there you are, you're propagating them.
Well, sorry.
Yeah, well, you know, far be it from me to correct you.
It's because I'm adaptable, you see.
Well, this we understand. Yeah. Do you know what we call you, by the way, up in Blakely?
Gorgeous.
Well, I have heard that mentioned, but the guy now has AIDS. But among that, we've heard you called the Oracle.
Oh, yeah.
Do you like that?
Oracle, yeah.
I knew I was getting
I quite like the walking encyclopedia as well.
You're right. Yeah, well, fine. Now, let's move on to Botham, shall we?
Oh, letters, yes.
Yeah. Now, I love Botham. I think the guy's great, brilliant, absolutely fantastic, right? But in defence of the Manchester news agency that scurrilously taped his tape recorder,